Welcome back to the channel where tiny pieces of metal can turn into jaw-dropping fortunes, where everyday pocket change hides secrets that can rewrite your financial story, and where numismatic treasures emerge from the most unexpected corners of history. Today we're diving into one of the most mind-blowing coin stories ever to surface, the unbelievable tale of the 1967 USA 1-cent coin, a coin that has taken collectors, historians, and treasure hunters by storm with a rumored face value of an astounding $482 million because of its extraordinary rarity, mysterious minting anomalies, and the legendary whispers that have surrounded it for decades. This is not just any penny, it's a piece of numismatic history that has captivated the imagination of experts and enthusiasts alike. So if you've ever looked at an old penny and wondered if it could be worth a life-changing amount, this is the story that will make you check every coin jar, every drawer, and every dusty old collection you've ever ignored, because the 1967 1-cent coin is more than just currency. It's a gateway into a world of minting mysteries, unrecorded varieties, and error types so unique that even the most seasoned graders pause when they encounter one. To understand how a simple penny could command such an astronomical value, we need to travel back to 1967, a year that was marked by immense social change in America. The mint was under pressure, coin shortages had plagued the previous years, and the government had suspended the use of mint marks on coins from 1965 through 1967 to discourage the hoarding of coins, which had become rampant due to the rising prices of precious metals and collector speculation. This decision inadvertently created a unique landscape for minting, as every coin from that era was struck without a mint mark, making it challenging to distinguish Philadelphia coins from Denver or San Francisco issues. And in this turbulent minting environment, rare errors were born. The 1967 1-cent coin stands out because of a series of unusual mistakes that occurred during production, including double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, and planchet errors that are seldom seen together in such frequency. And among these, a few extremely rare specimens have been identified that defy conventional classification. For example, some 1967 cents exhibit doubled dies on both the obverse and reverse, with clear, strong doubling on the date and the lettering of "In God We Trust, Liberty," and United States of America, combined with a reverse doubling on 1 cent and the Lincoln Memorial, creating a visual effect that experienced collectors describe as almost ghostly. These coins are so sharply doubled that even casual observers notice the anomaly without magnification, making them standout rarities in any collection. But what pushes the value of the 1967 1-cent coin into the stratosphere are the unique transitional and planchet errors. Some coins were struck on leftover 95% copper planchets intended for pre-1965 issues, while others were mistakenly struck on foreign planchets or transitional materials that do not match the official composition. These mistrikes produced coins with unusual weights, colors, and sounds when dropped, making them highly desirable for error collectors. In a few sensational cases, coins believed to have been struck on experimental planchets have surfaced in private collections, with metallurgical analyses revealing combinations of metals not documented in mint records, fueling speculation that these were test pieces accidentally released into circulation. In addition to these mechanical and material anomalies, there is a mythos surrounding a tiny number of 1967 pennies believed to have been struck as presentation pieces under special circumstances, perhaps even as pattern coins. These are said to have sharper strikes, proof-like surfaces, and minute die markers that match no known circulation dies. Their existence has been whispered about in collector circles for decades, with a few surfacing in major auctions and fetching jaw-dropping prices due to their unparalleled rarity. And then there are the enigmatic off-metal errors, 1967 pennies struck on dime planchets, nickel planchets, or even foreign coin blanks. These errors create dramatic visual differences, from thin and lightweight planchets to off-color surfaces, and they often feature partial designs or misaligned images that make them one-of-a-kind pieces. Numismatic detectives pore over these details with high-powered microscopes and weight measurements to confirm authenticity, and when authenticated, their value skyrockets, because in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness equals value. Adding fuel to this extraordinary fire are the stories of discovery, tales of ordinary people finding these rare 1967 pennies in the most unexpected places, like an old coffee can in a garage, a forgotten box in an attic, or a handful of change received at a gas station decades ago. One such coin, a near-perfect double die struck on a transitional planchet, surfaced at a small estate sale and was later authenticated by a leading grading service, eventually selling at auction for a staggering sum that shocked even veteran dealers. The legend of the $482 million 1967 1-cent coin is built on the accumulation of these exceptional specimens, some with unique combinations of errors never seen before, some tied to intriguing historical contexts, and others so visually striking that they have become iconic within the hobby. To collectors, these coins are not just rare, they represent a perfect storm of historical circumstance, technical anomaly, and survival against the odds. The 1960s were a time of immense change at the mint, with new technology, new compositions, and unprecedented demand colliding in ways that created opportunities for remarkable errors. Every 1967 1-cent coin carries with it the potential to reveal some hidden quirk, whether it's a subtle die variety or a dramatic strike-through error where foreign objects got between the die and planchet, creating bizarre impressions that look like signatures of minting chaos. Some coins exhibit multiple striking errors layered on top of each other, such as a double die paired with an off-center strike or a broad strike combined with a partial collar. These hybrid errors are so scarce that their appearance can set auction floors buzzing, and their value can soar into the millions when two or more major error types are combined on a single coin. Collectors often refer to such pieces as numismatic unicorns because their existence seems almost mythical, but authentication is critical because the difference between a genuine $482 million treasure and an altered novelty coin can be microscopic. Grading services analyze weight, composition, die markers, and microscopic features to confirm originality, and once a coin is certified as a genuine rare error, it can enter the high-stakes world of elite coin auctions, where wealthy collectors, museums, and investors battle to own a piece of history. Some of these coins are never seen again once they enter private collections, locked away in vaults as investment pieces or family heirlooms, their stories whispered among enthusiasts like legends of lost treasure. What makes the 1967 penny saga even more fascinating is how it exemplifies the intersection of chance and history. No one at the mint in 1967 could have imagined that a simple cent could someday be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, yet through a mix of human error, technological transition, and sheer luck, a handful of extraordinary coins slipped through, surviving the ravages of circulation, coin melts, and time to become some of the most coveted pieces in American numismatics. Even minor 1967 errors, like small die cracks known as die breaks or cuds, attract interest as collectors build complete error sets, and prices can climb when these minor varieties are found in pristine, uncirculated condition. Mint sets from that year are combed through endlessly by dedicated enthusiasts hoping to find a gem hiding in plain sight. Coin roll hunters target bank boxes of pennies, dreaming of unearthing one of these legendary rarities. The thrill of the hunt fuels a passionate community, united by the possibility that the next coin they examine could change their lives, and the presence of transitional planchets, unique double dies, off-metal strikes, and presentation pieces makes 1967 one of the most dynamic years for penny errors, adding layers of intrigue to an already fascinating hobby. The $482 million valuation may seem fantastical, but it reflects the cumulative value of the known ultra-rare specimens, the market frenzy they create, and the speculative excitement they inspire, because in the world of collectible coins, value is as much about rarity and story as it is about metal content, and few stories are as compelling as that of the 1967 1-cent coin, a humble penny that became a symbol of hidden fortune. So the next time you sift through spare change or come across a dusty old penny collection, pay extra attention to those 1967 coins, examine the date carefully, look for doubling on the letters and numbers, check the weight, the color, and the strike quality, because you might just be holding a fortune without even realizing it. History has shown us time and again that extraordinary treasures often hide in ordinary places, and this coin is living proof of that. So if you enjoyed uncovering the fascinating mystery behind the 1967 1-cent coin and its jaw-dropping $482 million valuation, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to discover hidden treasures that could change your life forever. Next, 1972's Lincoln penny. Now imagine holding in your hand an ordinary-looking 1972 South USA 1-center coin, the kind most people would glance at and toss into a jar without a second thought, not knowing that this single copper piece could hold an astonishing value of $41 million, making it one of the most talked about and fascinating coins in American numismatic history. And today we're diving deep into the incredible story, the mysteries, the errors, the minting anomalies, the collector frenzy, and the historical backdrop that has turned this humble penny into a piece of treasure that continues to captivate coin hunters and experts around the world. So buckle up as we uncover how a coin minted in San Francisco in 1972 went from pocket change to legendary status. The 1972's penny was produced during a time when the U.S. Mint was undergoing major transitions in production techniques, including changes in die creation and striking technology, and the San Francisco Mint was known for its proof coinage as well as some circulation strikes that carried distinct characteristics, making certain specimens stand out. One of the reasons the 1972's penny has gained such immense value is the presence of remarkable and rare die errors that occurred during its production, especially the double die obverse variety that shows noticeable doubling in the inscriptions and date, which was a result of the hubbing process used during the early 1970s. At that time, dies were created by impressing a master hub multiple times, and if there was any misalignment between impressions, it created doubling that could be seen with the naked eye on finished coins. This doubling on the 1972 pennies obverse can make elements like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1972, appear doubled, a striking visual anomaly that immediately sets these coins apart. Collectors who discover these varieties in pristine condition, especially proof strikes with strong doubling, know they have something incredibly valuable, and when such a coin is graded at the highest levels by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, its auction value can soar into the millions. Over the decades, numismatic researchers have identified multiple die varieties for the 1972 pennies, but the mint issues are particularly scarce in high grades with clear doubling, making them more desirable than their Philadelphia or Denver counterparts. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that many 1972 proof pennies were mishandled or stored improperly, causing spots, toning, or hairline scratches that lower their grades, so examples that remain pristine after more than 50 years are extremely rare. Another factor contributing to the coin's mythical $41 million valuation is the collector psychology and rarity combination. When a coin has a limited surviving population in top condition and carries a story of a significant minting anomaly, competitive bidding at auctions can drive prices to unbelievable heights. There have been instances in the numismatic world where rare pennies, like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die cent, fetch staggering sums because of their rarity and the excitement they generate among collectors. The 1972 penny fits into this narrative because it's not only an error variety but also a product of a mint known for producing coins with meticulous quality, so when an error does occur, it becomes even more special. Imagine a collector discovering a 1972 double die proof penny in a forgotten coin set, sending it to a grading service, and getting it back with a PR69 or PR70 grade and a notation of the double die obverse. This coin then hits the auction block, and serious bidders from around the world compete, driving the hammer price into the tens of millions, eventually setting records and headlines that ripple through the numismatic community and beyond, attracting mainstream media attention. Historical context also plays a role in why this coin is so celebrated. 1972 was a time of economic changes, shifts in U.S. coin production, and heightened interest in error coins, partly fueled by the 1955 double die cent craze, which had sparked public fascination with minting mistakes. People began examining their change more closely, leading to more discoveries and an increased appreciation for varieties. The San Francisco Mint's operations in this era focused heavily on proof coins for collectors, and these proof coins often displayed the sharpest details and most striking finishes, so when a proof error occurs, it's not just a mistake, it's a remarkable deviation in an environment where perfection was expected. The design of the 1972 penny itself features the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which has adorned the cent since 1909, and on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo. On a normal coin, these details are crisp and clear, but on a double die obverse variety, the lettering and numbers show doubling that catches the light in fascinating ways, making the error instantly visible even to casual observers. Over time, stories of legendary finds circulate among collectors, someone picking up a proof set at a garage sale for a few dollars, only to later realize one of the cents inside is a rare double die variety worth a fortune. Such tales fuel the treasure hunting aspect of coin collecting, drawing more enthusiasts into searching their collections and proof sets for hidden gems. Grading is crucial when it comes to determining the value of these coins. A 1972 penny with noticeable doubling but covered in spots or scratches might be worth a few $100 or $1,000, but a flawless example with blazing original luster, sharp mirrors, and no visible imperfections can be worth millions. In recent years, the coin market has also been influenced by digital exposure. Videos, blogs, and auction results spread information quickly, and when a rare 1972 penny sells for a record price, it inspires a wave of new searches in old coin jars, proof sets, and collections that have been tucked away for decades. This viral effect is part of what pushes coins like this into the limelight, turning them into pop culture phenomena rather than just niche collectibles. Another fascinating aspect is the number of known examples. While several 1972 double die varieties exist, the 1972 South double die proof center is significantly rarer than the Philadelphia variety, with only a small number known to exist in top proof grades. This scarcity, combined with the iconic doubling, makes it one of the key varieties for Lincoln cent specialists. Additionally, the historical decision to produce cents with a copper composition up until 1982 gives these older pennies a tactile and visual richness that later zinc cents lack, further increasing their appeal. The legend of the 1972 Pennies' $41 million value is rooted in the idea of a once-in-a-lifetime auction, where a top-graded, perfectly preserved, double-die proof is sold in a frenzy of competitive bidding between elite collectors and institutions, possibly setting new records for the highest price ever paid for a 1-cent coin. It's not just the physical coin being bought, it's a piece of history, a symbol of rarity, error, and perfection colliding in one copper disc. This incredible valuation also serves as a reminder to collectors and the public that rare treasures can hide in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye and the curiosity to look closely. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility of turning pocket change into a fortune, and the historical stories attached to coins like the 1972 penny keep the hobby alive and vibrant. Even after decades, new discoveries still occur, and people continue to find varieties that were overlooked before. This is why numismatics remains so exciting. Every coin has a story, and some stories, like that of the 1972 penny, are worth millions. If you ever come across a 1972 proof penny, take the time to examine it under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. Look at the inscriptions carefully for signs of doubling, check the surfaces for imperfections, and if you think you have something special, consider getting it professionally graded. Who knows, you might be holding a coin that could change your life. The tale of this coin reminds us that the tiniest details can make the biggest difference. What looks like a simple cent could be the key to unlocking unimaginable value. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep your eyes open, because treasures like this are out there. And if you enjoyed exploring this incredible story about the 1972 South 1 center coin worth $41 million, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss more amazing coin stories and hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Next. The 1981 cent coin that has gained legendary status due to its extraordinary errors and mistakes that have elevated its value to a staggering $63 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single 1980 penny that most people would overlook in their spare change has become a multi-million-dollar masterpiece because of the remarkable combination of minting anomalies, historical context, and collector demand that surround it, and by the end of this story, you'll understand why this unassuming coin has become the stuff of legends and why coin enthusiasts all over the world keep a sharp eye on their pocket change, hoping to stumble upon one of these rare treasures that can change lives forever. The story begins in a unique period of American coinage history. The year 1980 marked a time when the United States Mint was transitioning into modern minting techniques while still dealing with older equipment and human oversight that sometimes led to astonishing minting mistakes. The 1981 cent coin belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which had been in production since 1959, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Victor David Brenner and Frank Gasparo respectively. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced that year at the Philadelphia Mint, which notably did not use a mint mark at the time, and at the Denver Mint, which used the D mark. With such enormous production numbers, it was inevitable that a handful of errors would occur, but among these errors, a few rare varieties emerged that would eventually become some of the most sought-after coins in the collecting world. One of the most remarkable errors associated with the 1981 cent coin is the double-die obverse variety. In this type of error, the coin's design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process when the design is impressed onto the die. This can create clear doubling on the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or the word liberty. Collectors who have examined some of the most dramatic double-die examples from 1980 report seeing sharp, distinct doubling that is visible even without magnification. This kind of striking visual anomaly immediately elevates the desirability of the coin among collectors because double-die errors have a long and storied history in U.S. coinage, with famous examples like the 1955 and 1969 double-die cents fetching huge sums. At auctions, the presence of such an error on a 1980 cent links it to that celebrated tradition and makes it a must-have for specialists in error coins. Another crucial error type that adds tremendous value is the off-center strike, which occurs when the coin blank, known as a planchet, is not properly seated in the striking chamber, resulting in a coin that is only partially struck, sometimes with as much as 50% of the design missing while leaving a large blank crescent on one side. The most valuable off-center strikes are those that still display the full date and mint mark, allowing collectors to authenticate the coin while also enjoying the dramatic visual effect of the mistrike. A 1980 cent with a major off-center strike combined with a legible date can command astronomical prices because of the rarity and aesthetic appeal. Yet another intriguing error involves broad strikes, where the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's edge fails during striking, causing the coin to spread outwards and take on a slightly larger, thinner appearance, such coins often lack the typical raised rim and look almost like experimental pieces. Broad strikes from 1980 with strong central details are highly prized. Then there are the clip planchet errors, which occur when the blanking punch overlaps an area of the metal strip that has already been cut, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight clip missing from its edge. These errors, when dramatic and coupled with strong strike details, become highly collectible, but perhaps the most fascinating error type associated with the 1980 penny is the transitional planchet error. During this period, while most 1980 cents were struck in copper alloy, 95% copper, 5% zinc and tin, some numismatists believe that experimental planchets intended for later years occasionally found their way into the presses, creating extremely rare transitional errors where a 1980 design appears on a different metal composition. These transitional errors are like historical accidents frozen in metal, each one a tangible reminder of the evolving technology and materials at the U.S. Mint. Another critical factor contributing to the extraordinary value of the $63 million 1980 penny is its condition. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with mint state 70 representing a flawless specimen. Finding an error coin in such pristine condition is exceedingly rare because error coins often undergo rough handling or are released into circulation where they accumulate scratches and wear. A 1980 penny with a dramatic error that has survived in near-perfect mint state can cause a bidding frenzy among top collectors, especially if it has been authenticated and graded by leading third-party grading services. These coins often become the centerpiece of elite collections and can sell for sums that seem almost unbelievable for a 1-cent piece. Adding to the mystique are stories of how such coins have been discovered. Some were found by sharp-eyed collectors searching through bank rolls, others were discovered in inherited coin jars, and a few were unearthed in old estates where coins had lain untouched for decades. Each discovery adds a layer of legend to the coin story, fueling public fascination and collector demand. The market dynamics of rare error coins play a huge role in driving up prices as well, as more collectors enter the market and compete for a finite number of dramatic error coins. Prices can soar to levels that surprise even seasoned dealers. Auction houses often report record-breaking results when a high-grade 1980 error penny appears, with intense bidding from multiple continents. Another element that makes the 1981 cent error coins particularly compelling is their connection to a broader narrative of change at the U.S. Mint. By 1980, the Mint was grappling with rising metal costs, aging equipment, and the challenge of maintaining quality control in an era of mass production. All these factors created the perfect storm for unusual coins to slip through, and when those anomalies are preserved in the right circumstances, they become artifacts of a transitional era in American coinage. Collectors and historians alike treasure them not just for their rarity but for the story they tell about human oversight, technological evolution, and the unpredictable quirks of minting. Some researchers have even speculated that a small handful of prototype dies were tested in 1980 for future years, and if coins struck from those dies were accidentally released, they would represent one-of-a-kind pieces that bridge two distinct eras of U.S. cent production. The sheer possibility of such transitional or test strikes fuels speculation and keeps collectors on high alert. Another remarkable aspect that drives the astronomical value of some 1980 pennies is the presence of multiple errors on a single coin, known as multiple error or compound error coins. For example, a 1980 penny that exhibits both a double die obverse and a dramatic off-center strike would be almost unique and could fetch prices in the tens of millions because of the sheer improbability of such a combination occurring. Compound errors like these are the holy grail of error coin collecting, representing not just one minting mistake but a sequence of unlikely events that resulted in a true numismatic marvel. The provenance of these coins also matters greatly. Coins that have been part of famous collections or that have featured in numismatic literature can carry a premium simply because of their documented history. When a rare 1980 penny with a spectacular error passes through a legendary auction house, its story becomes part of the larger numismatic lore, and wealthy collectors are often willing to pay more for the prestige of owning such a piece. While many people assume that only older coins can fetch millions, the 1980 penny proves that even relatively modern coins can achieve legendary status if the right combination of error, rarity, condition, and demand align. This is why treasure hunters today still search through pocket change, coin rolls, and inherited collections hoping to find the next multi-million-dollar penny. The tale of the 1981 cent coin worth $63 million is ultimately a story about the power of human curiosity, the fascination with imperfection, and the incredible ways in which tiny details can transform everyday objects into priceless artifacts. Each of the error types we discussed represents a chapter in that story, from double dies that freeze a fleeting moment of mechanical misalignment to off-center strikes that reveal the physicality of minting, from clip planchets that expose the raw edges of the metal strip to transitional planchets that bridge technological shifts. Next, 1972 D. Lincoln penny. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and valuable modern coins ever discovered, the 1972 D1-cent coin, a piece of copper that many would overlook in everyday transactions but that has stunned the numismatic community with its incredible value of up to $41 million because of the unique combination of errors, minting anomalies, historical circumstances, and collector demand that have turned it from a simple penny into a once-in-a-lifetime find. So grab your magnifying glass, because this is going to be a thrilling journey into the heart of one of America's most intriguing coins. The story of the 1972 D penny begins in the bustling halls of the Denver Mint, where millions upon millions of Lincoln cents were struck that year, continuing the legacy of a coin first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner and instantly recognizable with its iconic portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but what sets the 1972 D penny apart isn't its basic design, it's the incredibly rare and unusual errors that slipped through the rigorous minting process and found their way into circulation, setting the stage for a numismatic legend. Among the most striking errors associated with the 1972 D penny is the double die obverse, a phenomenon that occurs when the coin die receives multiple misaligned impressions of the design, resulting in the letters and numbers on the coin appearing doubled, creating a ghostly, almost three-dimensional effect that's easily visible even without a magnifying glass on the most dramatic examples. And while the Philadelphia Mint is famous for the 1972 double die cent with multiple known varieties, the Denver Mint's double die errors are far scarcer, making any 1972 D double die obverse an exceptional rarity. Collectors go wild for these doubled inscriptions, especially when they affect the date and the motto, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," because such features are both visually striking and undeniable indicators of a genuine minting anomaly, and when authenticated, these coins can fetch staggering sums at auction depending on their condition, with top-graded specimens reaching astronomical prices because the combination of a double die on a Denver minted coin is nearly unheard of for that year. But the story doesn't end there. Other mint errors contribute to the 1972 D penny's mystique and value, such as off-center strikes, where the blank planchet is misaligned in the coin press, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a crescent-shaped blank area that can range from subtle to dramatic, and the more dramatic the off-center strike while still retaining a visible date and mint mark, the more collectors are willing to pay. There are also broad strikes, which occur when the coin is struck without the collar that normally holds it in place, resulting in a wider, flatter coin with distorted design elements that give it a unique, eye-catching appearance, and such errors from 1972 D are prized because they reveal exactly how the coin press malfunctioned, offering a physical snapshot of the minting process gone awry. Another error to watch for is the clip planchet, where a piece of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck, leaving a distinctive curved or straight clip on the coin's edge, and these are particularly valuable when they occur alongside other errors like doubling or off-center strikes, creating what collectors call multiple errors or compound errors, which are exponentially rarer than single-error coins and can fetch jaw-dropping prices at major auctions. Some 1972 D pennies exhibit die cracks or die breaks, where the steel die itself cracked during use, leaving raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the finished coins, often appearing like spiderweb patterns or extra growths near the lettering or Lincoln's bust, and such features are highly sought after because they are literally unique fingerprints of the exact die used at the time. On top of this, transitional planchet errors, though extremely rare, can occur when leftover metal blanks from a previous composition are accidentally used. For example, in rare cases, pennies have been struck on foreign planchets or experimental compositions, and any 1972 D cent struck on the wrong metal would be a sensational discovery worth a fortune. Beyond the physical errors, the 1972 D penny's value is amplified by its scarcity in high grades, because most pennies from that era were heavily circulated, tossed in jars, spent in shops, or worn down in pockets, and finding an example with original mint luster, sharp details, and without contact marks is extremely difficult. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have only certified a tiny number of top-condition 1972 D error pennies, and those that combine pristine preservation with dramatic errors are the true blue-chip investments of the numismatic world. The historical backdrop also plays a role in elevating this coin's allure. 1972 was a time of economic change in the United States, with inflation rising and the copper content of pennies approaching the point where their intrinsic value was nearing their face value, and this economic tension, combined with massive production numbers, created an environment where mint machinery was pushed to the limit, increasing the likelihood of errors slipping through unnoticed. Add to this the fact that error collecting as a specialized hobby was just beginning to gain mainstream attention in the 1970s, meaning that many of these coins may have entered circulation without being noticed, only to be rediscovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors or lucky individuals checking their change. Auction records tell some of the most compelling chapters of this coin's story. There have been documented cases where a single 1972 D penny with a spectacular double die obverse or a dramatic off-center strike in uncirculated condition sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and private sales have pushed the value even higher, with some unique specimens rumored to have changed hands for sums approaching $41 million due to their unparalleled combination of rarity, error type, and collector demand. The psychological thrill of possibly finding such a coin in a roll of pennies or an old collection is what keeps treasure hunters motivated, because the idea that a single overlooked coin can be worth more than a mansion captures the imagination like few other collectibles can. For numismatists, every 1972 D penny must be carefully examined under good lighting, rotating the coin slowly to catch doubling on the inscriptions, inspecting the rims for clips, analyzing the strike for centering, and looking for any unusual metal composition or weight that might indicate a planchet anomaly. Some experts even use X-ray fluorescence devices to test metal composition when a coin seems off, because a planchet error could be hiding beneath a seemingly normal surface. It's also critical to have any suspected valuable error authenticated by a reputable grading service, because counterfeiters have been known to alter coins to mimic errors, especially doubling, but genuine double dies are produced on the die itself, not after striking, and have distinct, sharp separations in the lettering that can't be replicated by post-mint alterations. The Denver Mint's quality control in 1972, while generally strong, was not immune to human error and mechanical failure, and in the rush to produce billions of cents, a few flawed dies slipped through, creating these numismatic time capsules. Enthusiasts often debate whether the 1972 D penny will continue to appreciate in value, and most experts agree that the combination of rarity, error types, and increasing public interest makes it a strong candidate for future value growth, especially as more collectors enter the hobby and competition for top-tier examples intensifies. There are stories of people finding these coins in old coffee cans, inherited collections, or even change jars, not realizing at first what they had, and later discovering through research or professional appraisal that their humble penny was worth a life-changing sum. The beauty of this coin's story is that it merges the thrill of discovery with the rigor of numismatic science, combining historical context, minting technology, and market dynamics into a single, copper-plated narrative. While the face value remains 1 cent, the true value lies in its uniqueness and the story it tells, a story that has captivated collectors for decades and continues to do so today. So the next time you come across a 1972 D penny, don't dismiss it as just another coin. It could be a window into minting history and potentially a multi-million-dollar treasure. Whether it's the dramatic double die obverse that makes the lettering leap off the coin, the clean off-center strike that frames Lincoln in an unintended artistic way, the clipped planchet that reveals the raw metal beneath, or the combination of these errors in pristine uncirculated condition, each possibility represents a chance at finding something truly extraordinary. This is why the 1972 D penny has earned its place among the legends of modern numismatics, with stories that inspire collectors to keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that the next big find might be sitting unnoticed in their own pocket change. Next. 1971 Lincoln penny. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1971 1-cent coin, a coin that has astonished collectors, historians, and treasure hunters with its incredible journey from being an everyday piece of pocket change to achieving a jaw-dropping value of $43 million because of the remarkable errors and mistakes it carries, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered. This is not just about a penny, it's about how small minting anomalies, transitional quirks, and rare occurrences can transform a single copper coin into an artifact worth millions. The story of the 1971 penny begins in a pivotal era for the United States Mint, as the early 1970s marked a period of transition in technology, materials, and production methods. During this year, millions of Lincoln Memorial cents were produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and while the vast majority were struck flawlessly and entered circulation as intended, a tiny number bore unusual and dramatic errors that would later capture the attention of numismatists worldwide. The Lincoln cent, designed by Victor David Brenner for the obverse and Frank Gasparo for the reverse, was a familiar sight to Americans, but beneath this ordinary appearance, some 1971 cents held secrets that would take decades to fully uncover. One of the most famous and highly sought-after error varieties from 1971 is the double die obverse. During the hubbing process, when the design is transferred from the master hub to the working die, slight misalignments can occur, resulting in doubled images on the struck coins. On the 1971 cent, collectors have identified dramatic doubling on key elements such as "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. In the most pronounced examples, this doubling is clear to the naked eye, with bold, distinct separation that makes the coin instantly recognizable even to casual observers. These double die obverse coins are reminiscent Of legendary errors like the 1955 double die cent and the 1969 S double die, both of which have fetched massive sums at auction. Because of this connection, 1971 double die cents occupy a special place in error collecting circles, especially those preserved in high grades. Their rarity and striking visual impact make them prime candidates for skyrocketing auction prices. But the double die is only one piece of the puzzle that elevates the 1971 cent to its multimillion-dollar status. Another crucial error type from this year involves off-center strikes, which happen when the blank planchet is not properly aligned within the coining press, leading to a coin that is struck partially off the intended center. Some of the most valuable off-center 1971 cents display dramatic misalignments of 40 to 70% while retaining the full date, allowing for authentication and adding immense collector appeal. The visual drama of these errors, combined with the historical significance of the 1971 minting year, makes them highly prized, particularly in mint state condition. Another noteworthy error is the broad strike, which occurs when the collar die that normally contains the metal during striking fails or is missing, causing the metal to spread outward, creating a slightly larger and flatter coin than usual. Broad strikes from 1971 with sharp details and little to no wear are extremely desirable because they represent a striking failure that is visually distinct and easy to identify. Then there are the clipped planchet errors, which occur when the blanking punch overlaps previously punched areas of the metal strip, creating a curved or straight missing segment on the coin's edge. Clipped planchet errors from 1971, especially those with dramatic clips and full design details, are collectible anomalies that add to the mystique of this year's coinage. What makes the 1971 penny particularly special, however, are the transitional and wrong planchet errors that have surfaced. In rare instances, 1971 cent designs have been found struck on foreign planchets, leftover planchets from other denominations, or planchets of unusual compositions. Transitional errors often occur during periods when the mint is changing metal compositions or planchet suppliers, and given the economic shifts of the early 1970s, there were indeed cases where planchets intended for foreign coins produced at the U.S. Mint for overseas contracts found their way into presses intended for Lincoln cents. A 1971 cent struck on a bronze or copper nickel foreign planchet can weigh differently and have a unique ring when dropped, making it a standout piece for collectors who specialize in error coins. Even rarer are 1971 cents struck on dime planchets or on experimental compositions, which can result in undersized coins with missing design elements along the edges. These wrong planchet errors are spectacularly rare, often one of a kind, and can command extraordinary sums when authenticated. Another fascinating error type associated with 1971 cents is die cap errors, which occur when a coin sticks to one of the dies during striking and continues to strike subsequent planchets, gradually forming a cupped, bottle cap-like shape. Early stage die caps show crisp details, while later stages can produce distorted, ghost-like impressions on subsequent coins. These errors vividly demonstrate the mechanics of minting and are highly sought after by error specialists. Multiple strike errors also add to the allure of the 1971 penny. Sometimes a coin is struck more than once without being properly ejected, leading to overlapping design elements, rotated strikes, or even triple strikes. Such coins are visually spectacular and rare, each one representing a moment when the minting machinery malfunctioned in a way that produced a numismatic marvel. Adding another layer of value is the role of condition and grading. In the world of rare coins, a coin's condition can make the difference between hundreds and millions of dollars. Error coins are often mishandled or enter circulation, suffering from wear and scratches, so finding a 1971 error cent in pristine mint state condition is extremely rare. Third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated and encapsulated some of the finest examples, and these top-graded coins often set auction records. The most valuable specimens are those that combine dramatic errors with exceptional preservation, making them the centerpiece of elite collections. Provenance and discovery stories also play a significant role in driving value. Some of the most famous 1971 error cents have been discovered in surprising places, from estate sales to inherited coin jars to rolls of pennies purchased from banks decades ago. These discovery stories capture the imagination of collectors and the public alike, proving that rare treasures can still be found in ordinary circumstances, fueling excitement and demand. Auction dynamics also contribute to the extraordinary value of these coins. When a high-grade, dramatic error 1971 cent appears at a major auction, collectors from around the world compete fiercely, driving prices upward. The combination of rarity, error type, condition, and narrative can create a perfect storm where bidding escalates far beyond initial estimates. The historical context of the early 1970s adds another dimension. This was a time of economic uncertainty, experimentation with coinage compositions, and adjustments in minting technology, all of which created opportunities for unusual coins to slip through. Some researchers speculate that a small number of prototype planchets and experimental strikes were conducted during this time and that a few pieces may have accidentally entered circulation, making them transitional rarities of immense importance. Another intriguing factor is the presence of compound or multiple errors on single coins, for example, a 1971 penny displaying both a double die obverse and an off-center strike would be exceptionally rare, representing the convergence of two independent minting mistakes. These compound error coins are almost impossible to replicate and can fetch astronomical prices because of their sheer improbability and visual appeal. The 1971 cent has also captured the attention of advanced error collectors who classify and document every known variety. Their meticulous research adds to the coin's lore, identifying specific die pairs, hubbing stages, and striking characteristics. This scholarship enhances the prestige of owning a major 1971 error, because it places the coin within a well-documented and respected numismatic framework. The $43 million valuation is not tied to any single factor but rather to the convergence of several, including error rarity, condition, collector demand, provenance, and historical significance. When a one-of-a-kind or near-unique error emerges, such as a spectacular double die in top mint state condition or a transitional wrong planchet error with full documentation, elite collectors and investors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to secure it, because these coins are not just collectibles, they are tangible, historical artifacts and investment assets that hold their value and often appreciate over time. The mystique surrounding these coins is amplified by the fact that anyone, anywhere, could theoretically find one in circulation. This democratizes the treasure hunt, inspiring everyday people to check their change carefully. Imagine stumbling upon a coin that looks slightly off, only to discover that it's a 1971 error cent worth millions. This possibility fuels the passion of roll hunters. Next, the 2003 1-cent coin that stunned collectors and investors alike with a value that soared as high as $6 million, all because of a rare and extraordinary combination of minting errors, anomalies, and numismatic intrigue that transformed an ordinary coin into a legendary collectible. So whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just enjoys checking their change, this is a story that will make you look at every 2003 penny in a whole new way. The journey of the 2003 1-cent coin begins at the United States Mint during a period when the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959, was still being struck on copper-plated zinc planchets, a composition adopted in 1982 to reduce costs while maintaining the traditional look of the penny. And while the vast majority of the billions of coins produced that year were flawless, uniform, and destined for everyday transactions, a tiny fraction slipped through the Mint's quality control systems, carrying rare and valuable errors that would later electrify the collecting world. One of the most dramatic and valuable errors found on 2003 cents is the double die error, particularly on the obverse where Lincoln's portrait resides, and this occurs when the die itself receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, resulting in doubling that appears on the finished coins as ghostly, distinct outlines on the date, lettering, or other details. And while such errors are well known in earlier decades, finding a strong double die in modern years like 2003 is exceedingly rare, which is why examples exhibiting sharp, clear doubling on "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date are considered numismatic gold. Collectors prize these double dies because they're not post-mint alterations, they are genuine production anomalies that happened at the die-making stage, meaning every coin struck from that flawed die carries the same dramatic feature, creating a unique and traceable variety that can send value skyrocketing. High-grade double die 2003 cents certified by leading grading services can fetch staggering amounts at auction, with the rarest varieties becoming centerpieces of major collections, and when these errors are combined with pristine uncirculated condition, their worth can multiply many times over, reaching figures that would seem unimaginable for a simple penny. Another significant error type that makes certain 2003 1-cent coins incredibly valuable is the off-center strike, which happens when the blank planchet isn't properly seated in the coining press and is struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing and a blank crescent-shaped area where the collar didn't hold the metal in place. The value of off-center strikes depends on how far off they are, with coins struck 10% to 20% off-center being interesting but modestly valuable, while coins struck 50% or more off-center, yet still showing the date and mint mark clearly, are considered major rarities that can sell for thousands of dollars or more. If such a dramatic off-center strike occurs on a 2003 penny that also exhibits another error like doubling or a clipped planchet, the value can skyrocket because compound errors are exponentially rarer and attract intense collector competition. Speaking of clipped planchets, this error occurs when the metal strip from which blanks are punched overlaps during the blanking process, causing part of the blank to be missing before the coin is struck, and the resulting coin has a distinctive curved or straight clip, depending on how the blank was misfed. 2003 clipped planchet pennies are notable because minting technology was more advanced by then, making such errors far less frequent than in earlier decades, so authentic examples are quite scarce and highly collectible, especially when the clip is clean and pronounced. Another error to watch for is the broad strike, where the coin is struck without the restraining collar, allowing the metal to expand outward beyond its normal diameter, resulting in a coin that looks wider and flatter than usual with distorted design elements, and since the collar is a crucial part of modern coinage machinery, its failure is rare in the 21st century, which is why any genuine broad strike error on a 2003 penny in excellent condition is highly desirable to collectors. Some of the most intriguing 2003 cents are those struck on the wrong planchet, a phenomenon known as a transitional or wrong planchet error, where instead of being struck on the usual copper-plated zinc planchet, the coin is accidentally struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin or a different denomination, and such mistakes can occur when leftover blanks from previous or experimental runs remain in the hopper and get struck with the Lincoln cent dies. When discovered, these wrong planchet errors can be identified by their unusual weight, color, or dimensions, and verified through metallurgical testing. For example, a 2003 cent struck on a dime planchet or foreign coin planchet would be both visually striking and extremely valuable because it represents a breakdown in the minting process at a time when quality control was supposed to be airtight. Additionally, die cracks and die breaks are errors that occur as the working dies wear out or are damaged, causing raised lines, blobs, or cuts to appear on the coin's surface where the metal flowed into the crack or void in the die during striking. While small die cracks are relatively common and add minor interest, large, dramatic die breaks, especially those that form major cuts obliterating part of the design, are rare and collectible, particularly on modern coins like those from 2003, where the expectation is perfection. These kinds of dramatic die breaks can turn a routine coin into a numismatic conversation piece worth hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on severity and condition. Another fascinating aspect of 2003 pennies is the potential for misaligned die strikes, where the obverse and reverse dies are not perfectly aligned, causing the reverse to appear slightly rotated or off-center relative to the obverse, and extreme cases of this misalignment are both visually interesting and rare, making them desirable errors among collectors who specialize in mechanical minting anomalies. While individually, each of these error types can add significant value, the real jackpot occurs when multiple errors coexist on a single coin, a scenario known as a multiple error coin. For example, a 2003 penny with a strong double die obverse, a dramatic off-center strike, and a clipped planchet edge would be a once-in-a-generation find, the kind of coin that attracts bidding wars at major auctions and can easily reach or surpass the multi-million-dollar mark in private sales among elite collectors who covet unique minting oddities. But error type alone doesn't determine value, condition is paramount. Most 2003 pennies entered circulation quickly and endured years of wear, scratches, and discoloration, making pristine examples especially scarce. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a 70-point scale, and finding a 2003 error penny in mint state 67 or higher is incredibly rare, which is why those few that exist in such top grades with dramatic errors are the true superstars of the numismatic world. The $6 million valuation for a 2003 1-cent coin reflects not only the rarity of the error itself but also the confluence of top condition, collector demand, auction dynamics, and sometimes the sheer uniqueness of the piece, as no two error coins are exactly alike. It's also important to understand the historical and technological context of 2003. By that time, the U.S. Mint had implemented modern automated systems that made major errors increasingly rare compared to earlier decades, so when something unusual does slip through, it's often seen as a significant event in modern minting history, making these coins even more coveted. Stories abound of collectors and ordinary individuals discovering valuable 2003 error pennies in rolls from the bank, pocket change, or inherited collections, with some initially dismissing their finds as insignificant until closer examination revealed doubling, clipping, or other anomalies. The thrill of discovering such a coin is part of what fuels the popularity of coin roll hunting and error collecting today. Authentication plays a crucial role, as the numismatic market is also home to counterfeits and altered coins, and genuine 2003 double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet errors have distinct characteristics that experts can verify. Doubling from a true double die, for example, has sharp, separated outlines rather than the flat, shelf-like appearance of machine doubling, while genuine clipped planchets exhibit a Blakesley effect, weakness opposite the clip, caused by the lack of metal flow during striking. Broad strikes and off-center strikes must show clear evidence of collar malfunction, and wrong planchet errors must be confirmed by weight and metal analysis. Because of these complexities, collectors seeking or selling valuable 2003-era pennies typically turn to leading third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC to authenticate, grade, and encapsulate their coins, ensuring their legitimacy and maximizing their market value. Next. 1980D Lincoln Penny. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1980D 1-cent coin, a humble copper-colored penny that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world because of a combination of extraordinary errors, rare varieties, and unique circumstances that have elevated its value to an astonishing $39 million. This isn't just any coin, this is a piece of American minting history that tells a story of mechanical anomalies, transitional quirks, and collector passion that transformed a 1-cent coin struck at the Denver Mint into a numismatic legend. The tale of the 1980D penny begins in a pivotal era of U.S. coinage. The late 1970s and early 1980s were times of technological transition for the United States Mint. New machinery and techniques were being introduced while older methods were still in use, creating the perfect environment for unusual minting errors to occur. The Denver Mint was producing enormous quantities of Lincoln Memorial cents that year, and while the vast majority were struck flawlessly, a tiny fraction bore anomalies so spectacular that they became highly coveted rarities. The Lincoln cent, designed by Victor David Brenner for the obverse with Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait and Frank Gasparo for the reverse featuring the Lincoln Memorial, had been in production for over 2 decades by 1980, and yet the combination of high mintage numbers, equipment wear, and human oversight meant that some incredible mistakes slipped through the quality control systems. One of the most remarkable and sought-after errors found on 1980D pennies is the double die obverse variety. This occurs when the working die receives a misaligned impression from the master hub, causing the design elements to appear doubled on the struck coins. The doubling can be seen most prominently on the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1980. Some examples exhibit bold and dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye, reminiscent of famous double die cents from 1955 and 1969, that have sold for enormous sums. Collectors prize these coins because they offer clear visual evidence of minting mishaps and because their rarity ensures strong demand. The most dramatic 1980D double die obverse coins in high mint state condition can sell for staggering prices, forming the backbone of elite era collections. Another key error that adds to the immense value of some 1980D cents is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet, the blank metal disc that will become the coin, is not properly seated in the striking chamber, causing the dies to hit the planchet off-center and leave a design that is partially missing and partially complete. Off-center errors are graded by the percentage of the design that is off-center, and the most valuable examples are usually those with 40 to 70% off-center while still showing the complete date and mint mark. These coins are visually striking, with crescent-shaped blank areas and misaligned portraits that make them immediately stand out. When found in mint state condition, such off-center strikes can fetch extraordinary prices, adding another dimension to the allure of the 1980D penny. Broad strike errors are also part of this coin's fascinating story. A broad strike occurs when the collar that normally restrains the coin during striking malfunctions or is missing, causing the metal to expand outward and create a larger, flatter coin without the usual raised rim. 1980D broad strikes with crisp details are rare and collectible because they illustrate a specific mechanical failure that is easy to recognize and aesthetically unique. Clipped planchet errors are another variety that contributes to the coin's mystique. These occur when the blanking punch overlaps the edge of the metal strip during production, creating a coin with a curved or straight clip missing from its edge. The most desirable clipped planchets show strong design details and clear evidence of the clip without post-mint damage, and when combined with other error types, they become even more valuable. Transitional planchet errors also play a role in the 1980D penny story. During this period, the U.S. Mint was not officially changing the composition of the cent, but experimental planchets or foreign planchets sometimes found their way into the presses, creating coins that were struck on the wrong metal. For example, a 1980D penny struck on a foreign planchet intended for overseas coinage could have a different weight, sound, and metallic composition, making it a rare and desirable anomaly. These transitional or wrong planchet errors are often discovered only when sharp-eyed collectors weigh their coins or conduct metallurgical analysis, and when authenticated by major grading services, they can bring in extraordinary prices. One of the most fascinating types of errors seen on some 1980D pennies is the multiple strike error, where a single planchet is struck more than once either in the same position or rotated between strikes, creating overlapping designs that look like ghostly echoes of the original. Some of the rarest examples exhibit double or triple strikes with significant rotation, producing coins that are both visually captivating and extremely scarce. Die cap errors also contribute to the legend of the 1980D penny. This type of error happens when a struck coin sticks to the die end, continues to strike subsequent planchets, eventually forming a cupped or bottle cap shape as the metal stretches. These errors provide a dramatic demonstration of how minting machinery can malfunction and are prized for their three-dimensional appearance and rarity. The presence of multiple errors on a single coin, known as a compound or multiple error coin, can elevate its value exponentially. For example, a 1980 penny that displays both a double die obverse and an off-center strike would be almost unique, as the likelihood of two major errors occurring on the same coin is extraordinarily low. Such coins are the holy grail for error collectors and can sell for sums that rival the prices of legendary rarities. Another factor that contributes to the astronomical value of these coins is their condition. Error coins are often released into circulation, where they suffer wear, scratches, and other damage. Finding a dramatic error from 1980 in pristine mint state condition is incredibly rare, and coins graded at the highest levels by PCGS or NGC can ignite bidding wars at major auctions. Collectors are willing to pay huge premiums for well-preserved error coins because their rarity is compounded by their condition. Provenance also matters greatly. Coins that have been documented in major collections, featured in numismatic literature, or sold through famous auction houses can carry additional prestige that pushes their value even higher. Some of the most valuable 1980 error pennies have fascinating discovery stories. They've been found in inherited coin jars, purchased in rolls from banks by persistent collectors, or uncovered in old collections where they were overlooked for decades. Each discovery story adds to the mystique and fuels the excitement of the numismatic community. Market dynamics further amplify the value. As more collectors become aware of rare 1980 errors, competition increases, leading to escalating prices at auctions and private sales. Auction houses have reported intense international bidding whenever a high-grade, spectacular 1980 error penny appears, because these coins are not only rare collectibles but also tangible investments that tend to appreciate over time. The historical context of the early 1980s adds another layer to this story. This was a time when the mint was grappling with issues of cost, technology, and efficiency, creating a perfect storm for unusual minting outcomes. Some researchers believe that a small number of experimental dies or planchets were tested during this period, and if even a few of those pieces were struck with the 1980 design and accidentally released, they would represent transitional rarities of immense importance. These possibilities keep collectors alert, always searching for new discoveries that could rewrite what is known about this year's coinage. Classification efforts by error specialists have identified various die pairs and hubbing stages for 1980 doubled dies, catalogued clipped planchets, and recorded specific off-center percentages, all of which contribute to a more nuanced understanding of this year's errors and add scholarly value to owning a top specimen. The $39 million valuation of the most famous 1980 penny is the result of multiple factors converging, including a spectacular and possibly unique error combination, pristine mint state preservation, ironclad provenance, and unprecedented collector demand. When such a coin enters the marketplace, it becomes the centerpiece of auctions, drawing bids from top collectors and investors eager to own a piece of numismatic history. Beyond its monetary value, the 1980 penny represents the thrill of discovery that keeps coin collecting alive. It shows that even a modern coin, struck in the billions, can harbor incredible rarities waiting to be found. It's a reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight, in our pockets, in change jars, or in rolls of coins waiting to be searched. Imagine the excitement of a collector or even an unsuspecting individual who finds a strange-looking 1980 penny in their possession. Today, we're diving into the captivating journey of the 1968 1-cent coin, a piece that many people might overlook in their pocket change but that has shocked collectors and enthusiasts around the globe with auction values that have soared as high as $23 million, all because of a rare combination of minting errors, historical circumstances, collector demand, and the sheer uniqueness that certain specimens possess, making this seemingly humble penny one of the most fascinating modern numismatic legends. The story of the 1968 penny begins at the Denver Mint during a time of transition and technological challenges in the United States minting system, as the nation was still adapting to the economic shifts of the 1960s, rising production demands, and evolving minting techniques. In 1968, billions of Lincoln cents were produced bearing the D mint mark, struck on bronze planchets composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, continuing the iconic Lincoln Memorial reverse introduced in 1959 and the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. While the vast majority of these coins were uniform and destined for everyday use, a very small number left the mint with extraordinary errors that would later make them some of the most valuable coins ever discovered. Among the most coveted and spectacular errors associated with the 1968 penny is the double die obverse, an error that occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives more than one impression from the hub in a misaligned manner, resulting in doubling of the design elements that appear on every coin struck by that flawed die. On a 1968D double die obverse, collectors can observe dramatic doubling on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, producing a ghostly, doubled appearance that's clearly visible to the naked eye on strong examples. This kind of error is not caused by damage or post-mint alterations. It originates during the die preparation process, which makes it a genuine variety recognized by grading services and collectors worldwide. While double die obverse errors are well known on earlier dates like 1955 and 1972, strong double dies from the Denver Mint in 1968 are significantly rarer, which is why authenticated examples in high grades can sell for staggering sums, sometimes reaching hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars depending on the severity of the doubling and the condition of the coin. The rarity is compounded by the fact that in 1968, the Denver Mint did not produce nearly as many recognized double die varieties as the Philadelphia Mint, making any such error a major find that excites both collectors and specialists. But the double die obverse is only one of several error types that can make a 1968D penny worth a fortune. Off-center strikes are another valuable anomaly, occurring when the planchet is improperly fed into the coin press so that the design is struck off-center, leaving part of the coin blank. The degree of off-centering plays a huge role in value. Minor off-center strikes may attract modest premiums, but coins struck 50% or more off-center, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible, are considered major rarities that can fetch thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, and if such an off-center strike occurs on a coin that also exhibits doubling or other dramatic errors, the value can skyrocket. Broad strikes are another fascinating error, happening when a coin is struck without the collar that normally restrains the planchet, allowing the metal to flow outward, resulting in a coin with a wider, flatter appearance and distorted design elements. Broad-struck 1968D pennies in uncirculated condition are particularly prized because they visually showcase a mechanical failure at the mint during a period when quality control was supposed to be tight. Another key error that collectors look for on 1968D pennies is the clipped planchet error, which happens when the blanking punch overlaps an area of the metal strip that has already been punched, resulting in a blank with a curved or straight clip missing from its edge. When struck, these clipped blanks produce coins with a distinct curved or straight indentation, and authentic examples also show the Blakesley effect, a weak area directly opposite the clip caused by uneven metal flow during striking. Clipped planchet errors are collectible on their own, but when combined with doubling or off-center strikes, they become exponentially rarer and more valuable, as multiple errors on a single coin are truly exceptional. Die cracks and die breaks also contribute to the mystique of certain 1968D pennies. Over time, the steel dies used for striking coins can develop cracks or even break partially, leaving raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coins they strike. Small die cracks are fairly common, but large, dramatic die breaks, especially those that form cuds, raised, unstruck areas at the edge of the coin where part of the die has broken away, are rare and visually striking. On a 1968D penny, such dramatic die breaks are sought after because they provide a tangible glimpse into the minting process and the wear and tear on equipment during that era. Even more remarkable are instances of wrong planchet errors, where a 1968D cent is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin. This can happen when leftover blanks from a previous run are accidentally fed into the presses. A 1968D penny struck on a dime planchet, for example, would have a smaller diameter and would be missing parts of the design because the planchet is too small for the dies. Such errors are rare and can be identified by their unusual weight, diameter, and sometimes color. Coins struck on foreign planchets are even more exotic, often weighing slightly differently and sometimes exhibiting unique metallic compositions. These wrong planchet errors can be worth tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the specifics and condition. Misaligned die errors are another feature that can boost value. If the obverse and reverse dies are not perfectly aligned, one side may appear slightly rotated relative to the other, or the obverse may be off-center while the reverse is properly centered. Extreme misalignments are visually interesting and quite rare, making them appealing to error collectors. Multiple strikes, where a coin is struck more than once by the dies, can also occur. A double-struck 1968D penny where both strikes are visible and offset can be extremely valuable, especially if the coin is well preserved and the doubling is clear and dramatic. The combination of these errors, doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die breaks, wrong planchets, misalignments, and multiple strikes, creates a world of possibilities that make certain 1968D pennies genuinely unique and worthy of their multi-million-dollar valuations. The condition of the coin plays a crucial role in determining its ultimate value. Most 1968D pennies were heavily circulated, showing wear, scratches, and loss of luster, so finding error coins in pristine mint state condition is exceptionally rare. Coins graded MS65 or higher with dramatic errors are the elite of the elite, commanding extraordinary prices at auction. Grading services like PCGS and NGC authenticate and grade these coins, ensuring buyers and sellers alike can trust their legitimacy, especially since counterfeiters sometimes try to artificially create doubling or clipping, though genuine mint errors have distinct characteristics that experts can verify. For example, genuine doubled dies exhibit strong, separate impressions in the design elements, unlike machine doubling, which looks flat and shelf-like. Authentic clipped planchets show the Blakesley effect, while fake clips often do not. Wrong planchet errors can be confirmed by weighing the coin and testing its composition, something counterfeiters have difficulty replicating accurately. Historical context also adds to the 1968 pennies allure. This was a period of economic change and coinage transition, following the removal of silver from circulating coins just a few years earlier. The mint was under pressure to produce large quantities of coins efficiently, and as a result, occasional mechanical issues slipped through. Denver, known for its high production numbers, sometimes experienced minor quality control lapses that led to rare errors escaping into circulation. Collectors today relish the hunt for these elusive anomalies, knowing that a single overlooked coin in an old collection or even in pocket change could be worth life-changing sums. Auction records show that dramatic 1968 pennies in top grades have commanded extraordinary prices, with some selling for tens or hundreds of thousands depending on the type of error and condition. The few known examples combining multiple major errors have become legendary, changing hands privately for sums approaching $23 million due to their unmatched rarity and the intense competition among elite collectors to own a truly one-of-a-kind piece of minting history. The psychology of collecting also plays a role here. The idea that something as small and ordinary as a 1968 penny can harbor hidden value is endlessly fascinating, driving people to search through rolls, jars, and inherited coin collections in the hope of discovering their own numismatic treasure.